Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Mana. Happy Solo Shot Saturday, everyone. It's going to be a shorter show than last week's for sure. Before Thanksgiving, there's not going to be a lot of huge things that get done in the baseball season. You look across the league, and even the top reporters who have all the legitimate connections and sources, they're saying different things about where different players are going. A lot of players are still just taking the kind of a break and a step back from the long season that is baseball. But the awards is always one of the most important parts of the offseason because it adds to players' legacies, whether it's the beginning or in the middle or right towards the end. These kind of accolades can sometimes be something that helps elevate a player into the next level of greatness in terms of their viewership with the fans or with the history of the sport or even the Baseball Hall of Fame. And this award season had all of that and then some. I think if you look across the league, the only thing that was up for debate was the manager of the year. Brandon Hyde of the Baltimore Orioles won it in the American League, and Skip Schumacher, first-year Skip of the Marlins, won it in the National League. Now, I predicted Brandon Hyde to win the manager of the year last season. I was a year early on that pick, and it looks like I was at least a year early on the Baltimore Orioles World Series pick. But taking that team that 2 years ago had 110 losses, having an 100-win season without elite pitching in the best division in baseball, it was well-deserved. And as for Skip Schumacher, a guy who was a former player and took a Miami Marlins team that no one had any faith in, and despite Sandy Alcantara, the reigning National League Cy Young winner, taking a big step back, they were a better baseball team, and they made the postseason for the first time since the COVID-shortened season. So congratulations to both those managers. That award, unfortunately, is the one that does the least for your legacy, as shown by last year's National League Manager of the Year winner, Buck Showalter, getting canned this offseason a year after he received that award. But there are brighter things. If you look at the Rookie of the Year voting, I picked Josh Young and Jordan Walker at the beginning of the season. Jordan Walker got off to a really hot start, as did Josh Young. Jordan Walker ended up struggling, getting sent down to the majors, had some injuries, and did not put together the season that I was hoping. And Josh Young was the front runner for the American League Rookie of the Year up until his injury. He was a guy that was an all-star caliber player, 20-plus home runs before the break. Like, he was a very good player that was a big part of why the Rangers won the World Series against the Diamondbacks. But Gunnar Henderson and good old Corbin Carroll, they were the guys that were going to win it. Tanner Bibby actually beat Tristan Casas for second place in the AL Rookie of the Year. That was interesting. But Gunnar Henderson's season, with Josh Young's being shortened, was clearly the best one. This is a guy who had only one less extra base hit than Corbin Carroll, who is significantly faster, who is looked at as a better hitter, and a guy who hit over 20 bombs for the Orioles, was an everyday starter for them at shortstop, and getting that kind of power from your shortstop position when the third baseman goes down, man, like Gunnar Henderson, congratulations. One of the Orioles' many great young players. I don't think Gunnar Henderson's going to end up being the best of the bunch. I do think Adley Rutschman is going to be remembered as the player for that core. And they have Jackson Holliday and some other great young players coming up through the system, some that made small contributions this past season. The future is bright in Baltimore, and the future is super bright for Corbin Carroll and the Arizona Diamondbacks. He signed a very team-friendly, Ronald Acuna-esque $100 million deal before the season started, and he is already paying off that deal. 25 home runs and 50 stolen bases as a rookie, a guy who started the All-Star game in his home city of Seattle as a rookie, a guy who led his team to the World Series as a rookie. And if he is not the fastest, he is among the fastest players in Major League Baseball, a guy who's going to be a dual threat. The one gripe, the one tool that he does not possess is the arm. And for that reason, you saw Alec Thomas in the second half of the season playing a lot more center field than Corbin Carroll. So it looks like he's going to be a corner outfielder going forward, but a great corner outfielder he is going to be. Corbin Carroll, your National League Rookie of the Year, and a guy who, unlike Gunnar Henderson, where I'm not sure if he's going to be the face of his team going forward, it's clear that Corbin Carroll is the Diamondbacks' future. But the awards that are about legacy are the MVP and the Cy Young. And I talked about Blake Snell. If he's able to take it home, he will be the next pitcher in an elite list to be a guy who wins it in both leagues. Gaylord Perry was the first man to do that when he won at the beginning of the 70s with the Cleveland Indians and won in the late 70s with the San Diego Padres. Since then, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez. I'm wearing my Mets Pedro Martinez shirt to show some National League love. His National League Cy Young was actually with the Expos. Max Scherzer, Roy Halladay, and now Blake Snell. Now, the only player that I just named that isn't in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame is Roger Clemens, and everybody knows why he is not in the Hall of Fame. Blake Snell is not going to be able to reach the achievements that many of those pitchers did. He's not going to be a 300-game winner. He's not going to have 3,000 Ks. He just flat out doesn't pitch enough innings. So the question is now, with one more big contract left on the table for him this offseason, will Blake Snell end up putting together a Hall of Fame career over the remainder of his career, or will he fade like many other two-time Cy Young winners have in the history of baseball? You look at Jacob deGrom fading because of injuries, as did Tim Lincecum, two-time Cy Young winner. Johan Santana broke down when he left Minnesota. There's a long list of guys who have two Cy Young awards, which is an achievement within itself. But him having it in both leagues, him being able to do it in the AL East and now the NL West, which, in my opinion, two of the best hitting divisions there are between the parks you have to play in as well as the team's quality. And I told you, I think he's going to stay in the NL West. I think the Giants are going to get Blake Snell. And the Giants have been known for getting productivity out of their pitching staff in that ballpark. It's pitcher friendly. And I think that Blake Snell has a chance to go there. And if he wins that elusive third Cy Young, or at least just compiles out of his 5 or 6 year deal he's going to sign another 3 or 4 Hall of Fame level seasons, can he separate himself from the tiers of Tim Lincecum and Brett Saberhagen and these guys that have 2 Cy Young awards that aren't going to sniff the Hall of Fame, and get more towards the guys that have a chance? It'll be really interesting to watch. I'm excited to see. He's a great pitcher that I'm going to remember watching regardless. Snellzilla, really great pitcher, and congratulations on joining an elite club. But the one that kind of stamped what everyone already kind of knew is Garrett Cole's a future Hall of Famer. Yes, Garrett Cole won the unanimous American League Cy Young. It was his first Cy Young of his career. And if you look back, it was probably his third best season. Some people are saying it's not even in his top 3 best seasons. And he won the Cy Young this year. So you can, 1, say that's weak competition, but 2, also say that a player who has been excellent for years is finally getting rewarded an award that some great pitchers never get. And to me, you look at Garrett Cole, he just turned 33 years old. He has 145 wins and over 2,100 strikeouts. and he is signed in New York through 2028. So over the next 4 or 5 seasons, I think he's going to be right there at 3,000 Ks, which is an automatic qualifier if you didn't do steroids. And he's a guy that's probably going to have over 200 wins playing on a team that refuses to tank in the New York Yankees. And having that Cy Young, I think, is going to be a differentiator for him, being looked more in the tier of like a Zach Greinke than a guy who took a few years to get into the Hall of Fame, like a Mike Mussina, who never won that Cy Young, but was great for many years. Congratulations, Garrett Cole. You're not the most electric player in baseball. You have your Kermity vibes, but you're a strikeout artist. And when we're looking at this age of pitchers that are starting to go over the hill, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, that are first ballot Hall of Famers, 3,000 strikeout guys, multiple Cy Youngs apiece. Garrett Cole is that next generation's Hall of Fame pitcher. We're not going to see another 300-game winner, but guys that can have a Cy Young, push for 200 wins and 3,000 Ks, those are going to be the guys that get into Cooperstown with the way the game's currently being played. So congratulations to him. The MVP awards were both unanimous. Yes, part of the fun in award season is usually there's some races that are close, some races that are argued about for years to come. And this year was not like that. There was a lot of unanimous voting, a lot of people on the same page, not a lot of variations, even the ones like the National League Cy Young that weren't unanimous. It was a 3-vote difference. It was right there. Ronald Acuna is your National League Cy Young, National League MVP. And Ronald Acuna, he birthed the 40-50 club, the 40-60 club, and the 40-70 club. This is an all-time power and base stealing season. He was on the best offense in baseball. He was healthy all year, and baseball was better for it. Would I have loved for my preseason prediction of Mookie Betts winning to come true? Absolutely. Did Mookie Betts have a season that could have been MVP quality in other years? Absolutely. But Ronald Acuna gets the first MVP of his rock star young career. This is a guy who is one of the most exciting players in baseball, at least when he's playing offense. His defensive game has struggled since he came back from injury, but he's still got a nice arm. He's still got the speed to get to most balls. And he is just truly, if you're making a list of the most exciting players in baseball, he's going to be on everyone's top 3 and number 1 on a lot of people's lists. In the American League MVP was Shohei Ohtani, who started off on a Cy Young track, which I think would have been more impressive for his career to win a Cy Young as well. But obviously we all know that he got hurt and will not be pitching in 2024. But he gets his second MVP in 3 years. And we're just looking at the next great peak Hall of Famer. Sandy Koufax absolutely dominated the game for a stretch of time. You just could not stop him. And his teams were good enough because of him and the other great players that they were in World Series, won World Series. And I'm hoping that Shohei Ohtani goes to a team that allows him to do that as well. This is a freak of nature, and we're not going to get to see him pitch for a while, but he's still going to hit 400-foot bombs. I've seen some people saying that if he focuses on hitting for the whole year, that batting average is going to go up, and he might try to push for a triple crown batting. And he's got the talent to do it. He is truly a unicorn. We are so lucky to be in the era that he is playing, to watch him. I've gotten to see him hit in person, and I'm excited to see where he goes this offseason. There's been a lot of rumors already about it. Some were going stretches even from his MVP announcement where his dog stole the show. He had a very cute dog alongside him when he heard the news, and people were saying, "Oh, the San Francisco Giants are the most pet-friendly ballpark in the majors. They do multiple dog days throughout the whole season and are known for that." Maybe that's a sign that he's leaning towards the Giants. There's also been rumors that he'd be intrigued for playing for those vaunted Atlanta Braves with the best offense in baseball. There's been reports that my Boston Red Sox are in play after all. They are a serious contender. The truth of it is we just know who isn't players. We don't know where he's going to go. The Dodgers remain to be the most likely landing spot. They have the cap space. They have the history of winning. They have an open DH spot for him. It makes the most sense. Now we know because he values winning and he's a guy who is going to need a lot of money that he's not going to sign with a team with no payroll. He's not going to go to an Oakland A's. He's not going to go to the Kansas City Royals. He's not going to go to the Minnesota Twins, who are cutting back payroll this offseason. But he is going to go somewhere, and he's going to change life for that baseball franchise, not just from his abilities on the field, but the profitability and news coverage that he brings with him. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. There's going to be a bidding war, I think, because the value he adds to jersey sales, to tickets and attendance, to merchandise sales, to just media coverage inside and out. He adds so much. People follow him from city to city. But his home field where he plays half his games, the Angels were making millions just from having him in the lineup. And I'm assuming a lot of that money is going to go away next year, especially if they trade Mike Trout. All that money is going to go away. But the Shohei sweepstakes remains the number one storyline. And I have a feeling that some teams will bow out early and decide to throw a lot of money at a Blake Snell, at a Cody Bellinger, at a Yamamoto. But there's going to be 2, 3, 4 teams that bid each other up and go all in to try to get this guy. And I just can't wait to see what he signs for. I've seen some rumors that he'll take a 4-year deal if he's getting the right AAV, like 65, 70 million. I've seen some deals where he still wants the long-term security and will take a smaller AAV like we've been seeing with these recent deals where they add years to bring the AAV down with Trey Turner and Xander Bogaerts, etc. I don't know what's going to happen with Shohei Ohtani, but I know it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I'm going to give you updates every single week throughout the offseason until he signs somewhere. And then after that, I'm probably still going to talk about him a lot because, like I said, we are lucky to be in the Shohei Ohtani era. And he is, in my opinion, the most exciting player in the game. There have been some small moves. The offseason has been starting small. My favorite, of course, was the Boston Red Sox landing pitching coach Andrew Bailey, formerly of the San Francisco Giants. His contract was up over there. He was credited with Logan Webb's development. He was credited with Carlos Rodon getting that huge deal, with changing Kevin Gossman from a first-round pick that was struggling into a Cy Young finalist. And now he is the pitching coach for the Boston Red Sox. That's not a small move in terms of impact, but it is a small move in terms of news lines. And I'm telling you right now, Brian Bayo is going to be a lot of people's dark horse to win the American League Cy Young next year. With Andrew Bailey under helm, I think it's going to help a lot of guys. Tanner Houck, Garrett Whitlock, Cutter Crawford, helping Kenley find his form again. I think it's just going to be good for almost everybody in that pitching staff. And the Red Sox' two biggest problems, Alex Cora said it on the Name Redacted podcast. It's pitching and defense. And getting a guy like Andrew Bailey in there, he's buddies with Craig Breslow. That's a big part of the reason I think he chose Boston. They're getting that kind of chemistry with a pitching savant. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think the Red Sox pitching staff is in for a big bounce back next year. Now we got to see what they add in terms of a frontline arm, possible defensive players in the outfield and middle infield. I'm really excited to see what the Red Sox put on the field in 2024. I think Andrew Bailey is the start of trending in the right direction. Now, there's been some other trades. The Atlanta Braves acquired Aaron Bummer. So if they do not end up intriguing Shohei enough to sign, that will not be the only bummer for them this offseason. Badoom chich. But yeah, it's really interesting that there's these small trades happening for kind of just like bullpen arms. And Cal Quantrill was traded, who started many games for Cleveland this past year, to Colorado, an organization that has had so much trouble developing pitching. So just little moves like this that I think right now everybody's just not worrying about it. They're like, where's Shohei going to sign? Where is Yamamoto going to be posted and where's he going to go? What is Cody Bellinger going to do? There's a lot of people talking about the big names, but a Cal Quantrill, even if he has a 4.5 ERA, he gives the Rockies 150 innings. That's a huge improvement for that team. A team that had the only streak of not having a 100-loss season in the big leagues. And now they go out there early on and they're like, hey, we're going to take advantage of some other small market teams and try to get some pieces to help this team. So you like to see it. These are all small moves. There's still a couple managerial spots open. The Astros opted to bring Joe Espada from bench coach to the managerial seat. I think when you don't have a Hall of Fame manager waiting in the wings like Dusty Baker, that's the right move to make, is hire from within, a guy that's respected, a guy that knows those players. And I'm excited to see them be business as usual. Those two open spots, it's going to be interesting to see who they hire. I'm assuming that those hirings will happen before any big free agent signings do, just with the way things go in baseball. But these small moves, keep tabs on them. Definitely, especially things like pitching coaches, bench coaches. Those kind of moves can be sneaky hitting coaches. I think that those are the kind of moves right now that you're looking at, that when a new manager comes over, especially bringing over guys, those moves can sometimes go further than getting a corner outfielder to hit seventh in your lineup. So I'll keep updating you on the small stuff until some of the big fish start hitting. Here at the Solo Shot Sports Podcast, we like to throw it back down the third base line to this day in baseball history and just talk about whatever interesting or impactful moment happened and trying to just keep this history of this great sport alive. There was a lot of great moments here on November 17th. And I think that it is just amazing when you look across the game and see all these different guys winning awards. You see a lot of Hall of Famers winning Cy Youngs and MVPs. Tom Seaver was born on November 17th. It's really amazing, just the history of the game. And those moments are great to highlight. And I could talk about Tom Seaver's baseball reference page. I could talk about these guys winning these awards and what their career ended up doing. But the most impactful thing for this week in baseball, November 17th, is the expansion draft that happened in 1992. The first one since 1969. Now, the Florida Marlins and Colorado Rockies were brand new to Major League Baseball. And what they had was an ability to protect so many players on your roster and they had a supplemental draft of all the non-protected players to kind of jumpstart these two franchises because it's hard to build up from nothing. And you'd think, oh, well, unprotected guys, like there was probably no big names in there. Well, I'll tell you right now, Trevor Hoffman, Hall of Famer, was a fourth round selection in that trade and was later traded by the Marlins to San Diego for Gary Sheffield, who helped them win the World Series in 1997. Now, they also got Jeff Conine in that pick, which was one of the all-time Marlins, a guy who actually played the majority of his career for the team before getting shipped out. And the Rockies didn't do too bad in the draft either. They ended up getting Eric Young, Joe Girardi, Vinny Castilla, and Armando Reynoso. All guys who were quality major league players, guys that the Rockies were able to get value for, and just names that you definitely know about. Obviously, Joe Girardi, former manager, guy who caught the David Cone no-hitter on Yogi Berra Day. If you haven't seen the Yogi Berra documentary that's on Netflix right now, I don't know what you're doing. It is absolutely beautifully done. The only thing that is missing is Yogi and his teammates. It would have been so great if they had this kind of urge to make documentaries years back when all these players from that time were still around. There are baseball documentaries and sports centuries and different things out there, but not to the same depth and video quality that this one was. So definitely check out the Yogi Berra documentary. And remember that baseball is on the precipice of another expansion. And if we have another expansion draft for those teams, for the Nashville team that ends up coming out, I'm going to do a live stream of that expansion draft because there's going to be some guys that are picked there that end up being all-stars, that end up being managers, and maybe, just maybe, another Hall of Famer like Trevor Hoffman. This week is Thanksgiving, and it's an amazing time to give back. Remember what you're thankful for. So many of us in this country are so blessed to not have to worry about where our next meal is coming from, not have to worry about our finances or the roof over our head. But there are so many Americans, especially in this economic climate, that are struggling to make ends meet. And ETV has partnered with the East Haven Food Pantry this year. We are raising money for them. We're doing a live telethon on our Facebook page this Monday, November 20th. So definitely, if you're on Facebook, follow that page, check it out. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday the 20th. We'll have music guests, spoken word artists, and a lot of really fun content for you guys about the food pantry that has served our community here in East Haven for almost 4 decades. If you're able to give, I incredibly appreciate it. You can go to our website at easthaven.tv and hit the yellow donate button at the top. And if you have a PayPal, you can just log in and donate straight to our PayPal at germer@easthaven.tv. That's JERMER at easthaven.tv. And if you're not, you can pay with debit and credit card, fill out all your information with an email. Make sure you click the sneaky button that PayPal does at the bottom so you do not save your information and make a PayPal account if you don't want one. And if any of you are able to donate to this great cause, donations just open on Thursday and will be open through the Thanksgiving holiday. I appreciate each and every one of you for spending part of your week with me. I hope you all enjoy an amazing week, Thanksgiving holiday with your loved ones and family. I will catch you guys next week. Have a good one. God bless.